Welcome to Daikin web-based training. When a problem occurs in an air conditioner, a malfunction code will be displayed on the remote controller in order to communicate what the problem is to the user. This course will provide you with an opportunity to learn about how to diagnose the problem in the event an A3 or AF malfunction code appears. Let's go over what we will be learning in this course. First, we will look at in what situations the remote controller displays the A3 and AF malfunction codes. Next, we will look at the drain pump control in relation to the incidence of the A3 and AF malfunctions. After that, we will look at the causes that lead to the A3 and AF malfunctions, as well as the difference between the A3 and AF codes. Finally, we will learn about the diagnostic methods used to rectify these malfunctions. During cooling operation, air conditioners take the air into the indoor unit and dehumidify it. This water then needs to be drained outdoors. The indoor unit requires a drain pan to collect the water and drain piping to discharge the water from the indoor unit to an outdoor location. Recent indoor units commonly feature a built-in drain pump that can draw water from the drain pan in order to allow for a larger drain gradient. Indoor units with built-in drain pumps are equipped with a float switch that functions as a safety mechanism in case the drain pump malfunctions or the drain water level rises to an abnormal level. As per the name, the float switch is a device that floats in water and has a contact attached to it. If too much water accumulates in the drain pan, the float rises along with the water level, triggering an electric contact at the predefined abnormal level. The A3 and AF codes are displayed when the abnormal water level is detected by the float switch. Before going into the methods of diagnosing malfunctions, let's take a look at the drain pump control under normal conditions. When the thermostat is turned on during cooling operation, the drain pump immediately starts operating. After cooling operation is continued for a while, the moisture in the room air accumulates in the drain pan. As the drain pump is already operating, the accumulated water is discharged outdoors via the drain piping. As a result, the water level in the drain pan stays at the bottom, and the float switch stays in the normal position. When the room temperature falls, the cooling operation stops and the thermostat is turned off. However, after the thermostat is turned off, the drain pump continues residual operation for 5 minutes before it stops. The purpose of this residual operation is to drain the moisture that is generated after the thermostat is turned off. Through this control, the water level in the drain pan is always maintained at the bottom, effectively preventing the water from overflowing from the drain pan. Let's take a look at the causes that lead to an A3 malfunction. During cooling operation with the thermostat on, if the drain pump does not work normally, or water is not discharged from the drain piping for some reason, the drain level rises abnormally, along with the position of the float switch. When the float switch rises and stays in an abnormal water level position for 5 minutes, it detects this and sends a signal to stop cooling operation, turn the thermostat off, and display the A3 malfunction code on the remote controller. In this instance, the drain pump continues to operate until the water is completely removed from the drain pan. In other words, cooling operation is not possible until the float switch's water level abnormality is rectified. Now, let's take a look at another cause. During a period when cooling operation is off and the thermostat is off, if water flows backwards from the drain piping for some reason, the float switch will detect an abnormal water level. The drain pump is not usually operating when the thermostat is off. If water continues to flow backwards while the drain pump is off, the water will overflow from the drain pan into the indoor area. In order to prevent this, the drain pump starts operating immediately after the float switch detects an abnormal water level, even when the thermostat is off. If the water level does not drop despite the drain pump operation, and the float switch continues to detect an abnormal water level for 5 minutes, the remote controller will display the A3 malfunction code, resultantly disabling cooling operation. Now we will go into the causes that lead to an AF malfunction. Let's think about the situation when cooling operation is stopped and the thermostat is turned off after cooling operation is continued for a while with the thermostat on. When the drain piping gradient is normal, the drain pump is able to discharge virtually all of the water in the drain pan during the 5-minute residual operation after the thermostat is turned off. When the drain piping gradient is poor, the drain pump can discharge the water as long as it is operating. But when the drain pump stops after 5 minutes of residual operation after the thermostat is turned off, the water that has already been discharged will flow backwards and return to the drain pan. When the drained water flows backwards while the thermostat is off, the float switch will detect the abnormal water level and start operating the drain pump. When the drain pump discharges the water from the drain pan within 5 minutes and the float switch returns to its normal position, the drain pump will stop operating after these 5 minutes. But if the drain gradient is poor, the drained water will flow backwards after the drain pump stops operating, and the float switch will detect an abnormal water level again. Upon detecting the abnormal water level, the drain pump will start operating again, and the float switch will eventually return to a normal position again. This phenomenon will continue to repeat itself unless the drain gradient is corrected. After this phenomenon repeats itself 5 times, the remote controller will display the AF malfunction code on the 5th time. Unlike the A3 code, the AF malfunction code is only a warning, so cooling operation is possible even when the AF malfunction code is displayed on the remote controller. Let's now look at the differences between the A3 and AF codes. In terms of the operating conditions for determining a problem, an A3 malfunction is determined when the thermostat is either on or off, and an AF malfunction is determined when the thermostat is off. The A3 code is an abnormality indicator that appears when the float switch stays in an abnormal position for 5 minutes. The AF code is a warning that appears when the float switch detects an abnormal position while the thermostat is off, but returns to the normal position within 5 minutes, and this is repeated 5 times. The air conditioner cannot be operated while a malfunction code is displayed on the remote controller, but it can if it is a warning code. Be it the A3 or AF malfunction, the likely causes are problems with the indoor unit, such as the drain pump, float switch, or PCB, or problems related to something other than the indoor unit, such as the drain piping. Therefore, the inspection procedures are the same for the A3 and AF codes. Let's now look into the methods of diagnosing the actual causes of the problems. Inspections are conducted on a separate basis on the devices inside the air conditioner, such as the PCB, float switch and drain pump, and on non-air conditioner factors related to the installation, such as the drain piping. In order to confirm whether the air conditioner is operating normally, first the air conditioner itself is checked. If it is confirmed to be normal, then factors related to the installation, such as drain piping, are checked. Let's now take a look at the diagnosis of the air conditioner side. The electric circuit controlling the drain pump involves the PCB, float switch, and drain pump. We will now go through the details and diagnosis of each. Let's take a look at the PCB first. Various components, including the drain pump and float switch, are connected to the PCB in order to control the entire air conditioning system. To conduct an inspection, it is necessary to obtain the wiring diagram for the model in question to understand where the drain pump and float switch are connected. According to this wiring diagram, the drain pump is connected to the Y1 and Y2 terminals, and the float switch to the X8A terminal. Based on the wiring diagram, you can locate these terminals on the actual PCB. The signals to the drain pump and float switch are transmitted from these terminals, and these terminals are used for the inspection. Let's go over how to check the drain pump. First, have a tester ready to measure the AC voltage. Next, while the A3 code is flashing, measure the voltage between the Y1 and Y2 terminals with the tester. When the A3 code is flashing, the drain pump is always on. This means that there is a voltage of between 220 and 240 volts AC running between the PCB's Y1 and Y2 terminals connected to the drain pump. If the tester reads no voltage, it indicates a faulty PCB. If there is voltage, listen for the operating noise of the drain pump, as it can be heard from where the voltage is measured. If there is no or abnormal operating noise from the pump, and the wiring between the PCB and the pump is normal, then the drain pump is faulty. If there is normal operating noise, the drain pump should be operating properly. So, go to the next item to be checked. Let's now take a look at how to check the float switch. First, have a tester ready that can measure resistance. Next, while the A3 malfunction code is flashing, disconnect the connector wiring from the X8A terminal and measure the resistance with the tester. A3 malfunction code is displayed when the X8A terminal is an open circuit. If the tester shows a short circuit, it suggests a faulty PCB. If it is an open circuit, then there is no problem with the PCB, and you need to check whether there is actually water in the drain pan causing the abnormal drain water level. This can be done by simply putting your hand in the drain pan. Another method is to have a bucket ready and remove the drain plug from the drain pan to see if water comes out. If there is water in the drain pan, this indicates that the float switch is operating normally. So, go to the next item to be checked. If there is no water in the drain pan, it could be a false detection, and the float switch should be checked individually. Remove the drain pan and move the float switch up and down by hand to see if the resistance indicates a short circuit when the switch is down and an open circuit when the switch is up. Let's now go into how to check the drain pump mechanism. First, check if the hose is connected securely to the drain pump and indoor unit, and if the drain pump joint is properly sealed. If the hose is loose or disconnected, or the joint is not fastened tightly, be sure to fix the problem. If the hose is connected securely and the joint is fastened tightly, check inside the drain pump by disconnecting the joint. When doing so, check whether there is any damage to the water blades or body. If there is, replace the drain pump. If there is no damage, then check for any slime clogging in the drain pump. If any is found, clean the drain pump. If there are no problems with the drain pump mechanism, it means there is nothing wrong with the air conditioner side, and you may proceed to the diagnosis of the installation side. Let's now take a look at the other points of caution when diagnosing problems on the air conditioner side. Depending on the model, some indoor units have an on-board drain pump, and others do not. If a malfunction occurs in a model that does not have an onboard pump, check to see if the short circuit connector is loose or disconnected based on the wiring diagram. Spare part PCBs do not have a short circuit connector. Therefore, when replacing a faulty PCB that has a short circuit connector, be sure to move the connector to the replacement PCB. If the PCB has been found to have a problem, also check the soldering of the respective terminals on the back side of the PCB before replacing it. If there is a problem with the soldering, be sure to fix it. Let's now look at the diagnosis of the installation side. Common causes of the A3 and AF malfunctions on the installation side are problems with the drain piping. Items to be confirmed with the drain piping include checking that the height of the drain-up piping is not higher than the specified values for the respective models, that the drain piping gradient is at least 1 in 100, and that there is no sagging in the drain piping. These can be confirmed by a visual check. If any problems are found, be sure to fix them. If no problems are detected visually, check that there is no clogging in the drain piping. If there is, then remove it. If there is no clogging, then check whether the indoor unit is level. If it is not, be sure to fix it. When diagnosing the A3 and AF malfunctions, it is important to separately consider the causes of the malfunctions in terms of the air conditioner side and installation side. Please use what you have learned in this course when diagnosing problems on site.